So tonight I've asked my really good friend, actually my best friend, Lynn Bowers, to do the opening meditation for Peggy tonight. Gosh, Lynn and I have been connected for 14 plus years. I met her when I first went to Asheville, and we have walked quite a journey together. She and I have traveled together. We've done Vision Quest work together, and we continue to connect each and every week. And she's been in the space setting, on the Tuesday evening some. And so I asked her this evening if she would do the opening meditation for Peggy, which ended up being kind of an interesting connection between she and Peggy. So Lynn, I'm going to turn it over to you to start with the opening meditation for us.
Okay. Thank you, Leah. And I just want to start with expressing gratitude for what you're doing here and what you've created, and for Peggy for showing up tonight and being willing to share your wisdom with us and help us walk this path in a good way. So I just wanted to start there. And I would invite you guys to all start by taking about 3 deep breaths and kind of call your energy back. Imagine your feet on the ground. Close your eyes. Release any demands of the day. Unplug in all the ways that you can. Feel your feet on the ground in your imagination, if that's the way you need to do it. And I would invite you to think of your feet on the ground and that you are surrounded by a beautiful forest, and that you walk in this forest and you feel and pay attention to the bird song, any sounds of water, the rustle of the trees. Use all your senses. See if you can smell any smells. And walk down this path. And to your left, there'll be a clearing, a meadow. And walk towards that meadow, and in the middle of that meadow is a beautiful fire. It's lit, and as you walk toward that fire, you see many people coming out of the forest to join you. And you walk towards this sacred fire that is held so beautifully. And little by little, you start to recognize faces or not, new friends, new faces. As you get closer and closer, you get close enough that you can reach out and start to grab a hand on either side of you. There's no COVID in this world, so you're safe to hold hands and to feel the pulse shared and passed amongst each person in this circle. Just be with that for a minute. There's one more that's joining this circle. This is our teacher and elder for the night. We welcome her. We open up the circle. We reach for her hand. We take a few deep breaths together. We feel the gratitude for this ability to come together around this fire and share these teachings. when you're ready, open your eyes and we get to welcome Peggy.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I loved it. So Peggy came around the sacred fire. I believe the first time I saw her is when Cater Brown was our teacher, and I saw her as she came in the room, and she kept coming back and sitting around the fire. And so she actually reached out to me. I can't even remember. She reached out to me about something. I can't even remember what it was. And so we ended up having our own Zoom meeting together and talking. And we had like over an hour-long conversation on Zoom and getting to know each other and the story. And I heard her story and she heard my story. And it was just quite a beautiful connection. And I asked her, I said, would you be willing to teach around the fire? And she said, of course. And so I'm really honored, number one, to have her coming in each week around the fire, to have her wisdom and her energy with us. And I also am, feel honored to have her here to share her wisdom with her tonight. And so Peggy, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you so much for holding this fire. It's truly a beautiful experience to be here every week. And thank you, Lynn. That was such a wonderful meditation, a beautiful opening too. Yeah. So I'm really grateful to be here. I want to start with a quote from John Lewis, an American civil rights leader, and it's so pertinent for him, but it's so pertinent for us and for what we do. So the quote is, "So I say to you, walk with the wind, my brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide." And my talk tonight is about remembering who we are, remembering to connect to the divine, remembering to connect to divine love. So the quote is so pertinent. I say to you, walk with the wind and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide. And that's really what we have to do to remember who we are and remember our path, because what we're looking for is to awaken our soul memory, to find that memory to lead us so that we can follow the path where we need to be, to fulfill our heart's desire, to fulfill our soul's purpose in being here. And many of you, your soul memory probably connects you to Peru with the teachings that Leah brings in. For me, and I have soul memory and connections to many places in the world. My very strongest connections are both Ireland and Egypt. And for me, there's a soul memory there that actually ties the two of them together. And it has taken me on quite a journey following that. So what I want to start with tonight is calling the directions. And with, most people in North and South America, I think, call it a medicine wheel. In the Celtic tradition, it's called a spirit wheel, with the 4 cardinal directions and the center. With any time that anyone is using the medicine wheel or spirit wheel, there are elements attached to each of the directions, and sometimes those elements are different among different groups. So what I'll be using is the Celtic model with air in the east and fire in the south and water in the west and earth in the north. And so that may or may not be where you've heard those elements previously. And the references to what those directions represent are very much in that Celtic description of what we do. So I will, let me start with a little sage here. I should have already had that going. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that sage smoke coming up through the screen, but it's kind of on. Let me do a second one so we have clear. All right. And so you can, if you know the directions in your house, you can feel free to turn in those directions, or just watch the screen as we move about. And so I start with honoring the center and saying thank you to the divine ones, the oneness of all that is, as we start this journey tonight. And I turn to the east. The east is the direction of illumination, the direction of understanding, the direction to take us away from ourselves, from our egos, and help us remember who we are, to lighten our path, to lead us as we move forward on this journey. And we call to the ancestors of the wind who comes to blow away all the things that we need to release. The wind asking us to remember, to hear the voices in the wind as they whisper to us and call us to follow our path that we were destined to walk before we came to the earth. And I say, aho. And I turn to the south. The south, the direction of fire, the direction of laughter and joy, and music and dance and rhythm and love. The direction of the fire that calls us to step into the middle of the fire and let the fire burn away all that we need to release, burn away all that we're ready to let go, burn away the unconsciousness, and step into the present, step into our pathway, and walk forward with the fire all around us, with the energy that comes through. And we say thank you and aho. And we turn to the west, the direction of introspection, where the black bear calls us into her cave, where she asks us to sit in introspection in the dark, sit and contemplate so that we may bring the knowledge into our presence and work with that knowledge. And as we sit, the water washes over us, the water coming to wash away the ashes from the fire. The fire burns away, the water cleanses as we step into that direction. And we say thank you, aho. And to the north, we take that knowledge that we gained from the west and we move to the north into the center of wisdom consciousness, into the center where the ancestors of the north call us to stand up. They call us to be warriors of the heart, to follow that path no matter where it takes us, a path that may or may not be related to the mainstream, but a path that's our soul calling. And so we say thank you to the earth in the north, Mother Earth herself, Mother Earth listening to the winds and the air of the east, Mother Earth bringing the fires stronger and fuller and brighter, and Mother Waters washing over us as we stand on the earth. And we come back to center, the center of sovereignty, the center of divine love, the center of connectedness to the oneness. And in this center, we say thank you for all of the beings. We say thank you to the star nations. We say thank you to the sun and the moon and all of the planets in our solar system and all of the other solar systems. And we say thank you to the rocks and the minerals of the earth. And we say thank you to the rooted beings. We say thank you to the four-leggeds and the two-leggeds. We say thank you to those water beings and to the air beings. We say thank you for all that is. And I say, Aho, Ashi, Amen, blessed be. And so it is. And so the directions call us to awaken our soul memory, to remember who we are, remember our reason for being here, and remembering when we hear that call, remembering to respond to the call. We get drawn into specific things in specific places. And I'm trying to put this sage out so it doesn't continue smoking here. Okay. We get called to things or places or people or to do specific things. And so often we don't realize that that's the calling of our heart, our soul's calling, trying to wake up our soul memory, because what's happening is that those divine beings that are around us all the time are trying to raise our vibration and shaking us just a little. You know, we had, not everyone here is from North Carolina, but we had an earthquake just a couple of days ago, and I felt that earthquake was shaking us up, reminding us to think about who we are and what we're doing and where we're going, and are we a part of the solution, or are we part of the problem? Are we raising our vibration? Are we transforming ourselves? Are we opening to looking at the things that we need to release? We can stand in the east, we can stand in the light, in the illumination, but will we take that illumination and allow the patterns that we've established, allow those unconscious behaviors to continue to run our life? Or are we willing to step into the fire, to step into transformation, to step into transforming the world? Because if we transform ourselves, we transform the world. We send that energy out from ourselves. The energy comes into us, flows through us, transmutes, and goes out into the world. And every thought, every word, every deed goes out into the world. And sometimes we forget. We forget that everything we do is a part of the oneness. Many people, especially people on this call and people who are following a spiritual path, are gifted healers. Are people who very often are walking between the realms of sleeping and waking. And sometimes we forget and we're asleep as we walk around on the earth. And sometimes we wake up. And so we have that choice to remember to wake up, to wake up and remember who we are, or to just go along the path with our unconscious behaviors. Everyone receives insight. Everyone is intuitive. The question is whether or not we pay attention to those intuitions that come flowing through us. So when we have dreams, either sleep dreams or waking dreams, do we notice those? Do we see if those are messages for us to remember something from the past? Even the nightmares, as much as we may not like to have nightmares, are usually there to tell us something. And so that's one of the ways that we can tap into that introspection, to pay attention to those dreams, to pay attention to those thoughts that just suddenly pop into your head. And instead of just letting them drift away, pay attention for just a minute to see if that's leading you to another thought, to take you down another path. So those thoughts that you have, those drawings that you have to certain things are definitely there. They're definitely there to help you remember, to find a pathway, to find a direction, to reach forth and take another step. We don't have to get on a fast-moving train and totally change our lives, but what we are asked to do is take one step at a time. Take one step consciously. The rest of the day might be unconscious, but take a step forward consciously and ask the divine, ask the oneness, how can I be of service today? What can I do today to serve the highest good? And just do that today, for right now. There are so many things going on in the world around us. COVID obviously has turned our world upside down. But even without that, we're in a transition period. Their planetary alignment is different. There are things happening in the stars and the planets all around us that have not happened for many years, some for hundreds of years. The comet that we had recently is, somewhere close to once every 6,000 years. That's a long time in between. So clearly, we have some things that are happening. And I'm not an astrologer, and I look at it. I do a lot of the readings that come through. But one of the things that has spoken loudly to me is Uranus. The planets are, the ones closer to the Earth and the Sun have a different impact from the ones that are further away. And as I understand it, when we want to understand how the universe works, we look at, from a meta level, we look at Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And Uranus is our big teacher planet. It's the planet that's sometimes called the Great Awakener. And it's there to encourage us to look at our mind-numbing behaviors, to look at our fixed habits, to look at our unconscious actions, and help us remember to pay attention to those things so that we can shake ourselves up and shake up the world around us so that we can become more flexible. And as we become more flexible, we move more easily. And to remember to move in gratitude with everything that we do. So right now, I mean, there's most definitely a very strong movement across the entire planet today to raise our consciousness. And there are many people, more people than ever before, working toward uplifting the consciousness of the planet. But at the same time, we live on a planet of duality. And so even though there are many, many, many people trying to raise the vibration, there are many people who have forgotten who they are. Many people who have no connection to divine love, not even connection to human love, to remember how to relate to other people. So what I want to do tonight is it's kind of a meditation where we're going to do a healing session on the past. And so I'll tell you more about it. But before I go into that, I want to stop and just ask first if anyone has any questions or comments. If you do, you can either turn your screen on and wave at me, and I'll, because I think I can see everybody on the screen. I just flipped over to the screen. Anybody have comments or questions at this point? Everybody's silent. So, the whole point of what I want to get across is to remember who we are, because we are all a part of the divine, and we are part of moving the consciousness of the collective. So if there are no questions right now, I'll move on. Let's see, Carol, if you got a question, Carol, I saw your hand moving. No, okay. So let me tell you about what we're about to go into. And it's called timeline healing. And this is it's a healing work. And I do this healing work on an individual basis. And you can get in touch with that through email if you're interested in the individual. But this is a group session tonight, which is also a way that we use timeline healing. And it literally is working on the timeline. And so what we're going to do is focus on raising the collective consciousness, raising that consciousness toward the vibration of divine love. And so we're going to go back through time to heal and forgive the lack of love or the forgetting of love in our ancestral past. And then we're going to lift those ancestors and lift ourselves and the future generations as well to harmonize with that energy of divine love. So in just a minute, I'll take us through this, and I'm going to go back and look back in time through, I think that humans have been on Earth much, much longer than our history books have taught us, and we're beginning to see that with more and more archaeological finds and proving that, right now there is much activity in Mexico, and Zacatecas, central Mexico. They're finding, they have found a site there that is 30,000 years old. Yes, not hieroglyphs, but petroglyphs, and lots and lots of activity and things, 30,000 years old. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey is about 12,000 years old, and we know that. And the Australian Aboriginals probably moved toward Australia about 50,000 years ago. There are standing stones that have been found in Africa, in southern Africa, that are estimated to be 75,000 years old. And it's called, they've named it Adam's Calendar. It's a standing stone. And, and if you take a picture of Adam's Calendar and a picture of Stonehenge, which is about 4,000 years old, they are very, very, very similar. Not just that they're a round circle, but there are stones in the middle in particular positions. And Stonehenge probably was modeled after these stones that are 75,000 years old. So, and there's evidence of life prior to even that. If we go back into the stories of Lemuria and Atlantis. But where I'm going to start with our journey is 75,000 years ago in southern Africa with what today is called Adam's Calendar. And so I want to take us through that process. And I will talk about a number of different groups and just refer to how many thousands of years ago that they may have been around. What we do know archaeologically, and I don't know about 75,000 years ago, but I think this is probably true even back toward that time, but we know that up about 7,000 years ago was the transition from the divine feminine into patriarchy, essentially. And what we know about archaeologically, what we know about the sites that have been found prior to 7,000 years ago, there was no evidence of defensive perimeters. There were no forts built around the settlements and the villages. There certainly were spears and things for hunting, but there was not a mass of weapons that were found. In fact, throughout the world, throughout the various indigenous cultures, what we found prior to 7,000 years ago, prior to like 500 BCE, we found sacred spaces in every home, in every hut, every family-like dwelling, as well as the center of the villages. So the village was built around some sort of a sacred space, and each home had that sacred space, and there were no defensive perimeters around these dwellings. So we know that somewhere back in our past, we remembered how to love in peace and harmony. We remembered to be in alignment with the divine. And so I want to go back to those times and say thank you to those civilizations that did remember and were in alignment with the divine. And then we want to do some healing with those civilizations as we begin to change and we begin to forget. So just get comfortable, and just like you would in any meditation, just begin some slow, easy breathing. Just pay attention to the chair that you're sitting in, or if you're on the floor, just notice that. Notice how it feels, soft, hard, comfortable. And notice the air around you. Is it warm? Is it cool? Is there air blowing like from a fan or an air conditioner, or is the air still? Just notice what's happening around you. And begin with that slow breath in, breathing at your own pace, but slow it down a little. Slow breath in, and hold that breath to a count of 4, and then release that breath. And as that breath expels, again, just a quick count of 4. And then this time, as you take that breath in to a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. And release that breath to a count of 4. And then after that breath has been released, hold again to the count of 4. And we'll do that again. Now, you don't have to do it on my speed of counting. Do it on your own, what's comfortable for your breathing. Breathing in to the count of 4 and hold to the count of 4. Release to the count of 4. And then hold to the count of 4. And just do that 2 or 3 more times. And as you're doing that breathing, we're going to start down a set of stairs. And with every step down, you're going to take another breath and relax. And with each breath and each step, you're relaxing more and more, just letting those memories of the day drift away. And know that everything that I say is designed to improve your life, and that you are completely safe as we go on this journey. At all times during this journey, this meditation, you can accept or reject anything that I say, and you will only use this information for your benefit and the benefit of others. So we just let go of that stress and tension, quieting your thoughts. You're completely at peace, and nothing can disturb you during this meditation. And our intention as we go through the meditation is to raise the consciousness of the collective to a consciousness that's in harmony with the divine love. And as you take these steps down, you're entering a theta brainwave state. And during this state, you will remain awake and aware and able to recall what I'm saying through this meditation. So we're going down the steps, and up ahead of you is a tunnel, or if you prefer, a door with a light at the end. And so as we move toward that tunnel or that door, just know that all of the stress is draining out through your hands and your feet into the earth. And we're going through the doorway or through the tunnel out into your place in nature. A place where you feel or see or hear or smell nature. A place where you are safe. A place that's very, very comfortable. And as we walk into this place, your higher self is there. Your higher self has come to greet you. And your higher self is a being who's all wise, all loving, all knowing, surrounded with light. And so connect deeply with your higher self. This higher self will go on a journey with us tonight. So feel the love and the wisdom pouring out of this being into you. This is your spirit guide. And so you and your spirit guide are now going to enter a time machine. It's right there in this place in nature right beside you. So you walk toward the time machine with your higher self and walk up the steps through the open door. The door's closing now, and we're moving through time and space in this time machine. We're going back through time, back through space. We're going to go back 75,000 years. And in this time machine, there are projection screens. So you're sitting in this comfortable couch or chair, looking at these projection screens all around the time machine. And so we're going back to that time of matriarchy, where there was caring without greed, where there was sharing. So feel in your heart the loving beings that were on earth in that time. And so we move back into a time and space 75,000 years ago in southern Africa. And these beings, just like us, were part of the oneness. And so we say thank you to these beings. We say thank you for being our ancestors, for being a people who lived in harmony. And we move to the next projection screen, to Australia 50,000 years ago, where the Aboriginals lived. And we say thank you. Thank you to this civilization, to these people who were loving one another and sharing and caring. And to 30,000 years ago in Mexico, to Zacatecas. And to 11 or 12,000 years ago, to Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. And this next screen, we go to ancient Peru, before today's Peruvians. Where 8,000 years ago, there were people living in Peru who still were in harmony with the earth. And as the time began to change, as people began to move further away from the earth, from Mother Earth, as people began to forget how to love all beings, we want to send a blessing and a healing to these people. And so we move forward in time with the Peruvians on one screen and the Irish on the next screen, 9,000 years ago when the mounds were built. And in Egypt, where the Nubians were before it became Egypt. And we say thank you to all those indigenous people who lived in harmony, and to all those who were beginning a period of forgetting. We want to send a blessing. We want to send a blessing to each one of them. And we want to call in God's golden, radiant light, filling them with the love, with the divine love. And we want to heal and bless and love and forgive. Heal, bless, love, and forgive. Heal, bless, love, and forgive any disharmony that was coming through that period. In this transition from matriarchy to patriarchy. And so we move forward to the next screen. As world religions came into being, we come into 5,000 years ago, where many more were forgetting Mother Earth, where empires were rising and falling. The Romans, the Greeks, the Incas, the Aztecs, the Mesopotamian civilizations, Iraq and Turkey, Afghanistan, Pakistan, all of those civilizations. There were plagues and starvation. There were wars. There was religious strife against, again, people were needing to hold control over others. When people need to control others, they are forgetting to share, forgetting to care about one another. They were forgetting their connection to the divine. And so I call in spirit guides, in addition to each of your own personal spirit guide who's there with you. I call in the ascended masters. I call in the divine light. I call in the oneness to come and be with us as we reach out to all of these civilizations over time, and present and future. And so the guides who are here with us help us reach our arms underneath these last 10,000 years and lift up all of these civilizations and hold them in the light and call in God's golden, radiant, loving light. And so through all of these 10,000 years, we see that light filling the past, healing and cleansing and purifying all of the events of uncaring. Each one of the individuals, each one of the collective groups, each one of the collective decision making. That we heal and cleanse and purify all of the events of greed, all of the events of believing that some people are better than other people. We heal and cleanse and purify all of the events of forgetting who we are, of forgetting we are all one, of forgetting that we are divine beings, divine children of the oneness. And so we hold all these civilizations, all these indigenous people, all of these individual people in the light. And so right now, in this moment, all of these past cultures and our present culture and all of the generations into the future, right here, right now, are being healed, blessed, loved, and forgiven. Healed, blessed, loved, and forgiven. Healed, blessed, loved, and forgiven. And we ask that the spirit guides continue to send that light into the darkness, into every corner, every crevice, light into the darkness. Forgiving, healing, loving, and blessing all of the past, all of the present, all of the future. And we seal this blessing in the time period where it was. Meaning that everything that your soul needs to learn about that experience of forgetting right now is being completely healed in this time period. We ask that all soul lessons regarding this trauma be healed, and no imprints and no influences from that past timeline be allowed into future timelines, including the present. And so take a slow, easy breath in and out. And with your next breath in, thank the spirit guides for being here with us. Feel their beautiful love and wisdom pouring into you, helping us remember who we are, raising the collective consciousness of the beings on earth, raising our consciousness, raising our vibration to harmonize with divine love. And remember that you are totally healed. You are blessed. You are deeply loved and forgiven for all things in the past. And you continue to send love and light out into the world. And the projection screens now are beginning to close, beginning to go dark. And our ship is landing in the present time, moving back through time and space to the present, landing in your place in nature. And we thank all of the guides for being with us today. And you and your higher self now are walking out the door of the time machine into your place in nature, communing there for a moment, feeling that breeze, or seeing the trees and the grass and the flowers, or smelling. And your higher self is there with you, always is there with you. Sometimes we forget, and sometimes we let it go away. But this time your higher self is there with you. And so as you leave your place in nature, your higher self is there with you as you walk through that door or that tunnel to the stairwell. And you begin to walk up those steps, and you take a breath with each step. And for every step up, you come a little more into the present. You're feeling revitalized and fresh. You will remember everything you experienced on this journey. And you come back into the present, breathing normally. You begin to move your fingers or your hands. You might rub your hands together as you begin to come into the present. Rub your arms or your face, or maybe stretch a little if the stretching feels good. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Come back in. And you can turn your screens back on. So just remember the journey. And remember those civilizations and those indigenous people of the past who are our ancestors, who lived in peace and harmony and remembered their connection to the divine. And remember that we can hold on to our connection to the divine. We can open ourselves and let that golden light come in and flow around us. And let that silver or red light from the earth come up through our feet. And let that gold and that silver merge together as it awakens us. As we step into the light and stay in the light, because we have work to do. We have work to do as we move into this new age, this new time, this new world. Welcome back. Yeah. Anybody want to share something you experienced on the journey or comments? Just click your sound on Kim. Go ahead.
Oh, Peggy, thank you so much. You took me back to, I don't know if it was specific past life memories, but just the remembering what it was like on the planet when we were all aligned. That was so beautiful. It made me cry with joy and also sadness because it's not that way right now.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it is in our pockets that we're here right now and other pockets, but thank you, God, that was so delicious. It was like going back to Avalon or something.
Yeah, that's the soul memory. I mean, whether it's a past life memory or not, it's your soul memory, knowing that we remember our ancestors if we'll open to it. We can remember them if we will. And it's there. It's there. There's
Yes,
hope.
there is. And I have had a past life memory when I was one of the people that was trying to I was in the church and I was trying to move us away from that alignment. And which is one reason I'm so not that now, I think. So I felt that a little bit of that pain too, like, oh, that was me at one point. But oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I have always been curious about your timeline healings, and I'm so grateful to you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of the truth, of all the truths in me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here, for being a part of this. Yeah. because that's timeline healing takes you back through, whether it's this life or a previous life, but it takes you back through that. And so the group session like that can do this healing for the collective. It's really, really important to remember that we can get there. We can get there again. And we'll be back in this crazy place in another age, in another period. But it's time now to let this chaos go. It's time now for us to step into that divine love again. And we're on the way. We're on the way.
Amen, a woman.
Anybody else want to comment? Just click your microphone back on if you'd like to say something.
Thank you, Peggy. That was beautiful. It was very peaceful for me. I just felt a sense of real peace, and I've journeyed through 3 former times before, but this was quite a peaceful, connected with everything feeling. So thank you.
Yes, you are welcome. You know, we can go back through traumatic times like war and all kinds of things like that, but part of timeline healing is not to go and relive the trauma, but to acknowledge that there was trauma, but to heal it and bless it, and not to, you know, go through and talk about every extreme detail of the trauma, but just acknowledge that it was there and do the healing work and take it into the healing. Yeah. Thank you, Zion. Anybody else? I know sometimes it's hard to talk when you come out of these meditations. Okay, well, it looks like last chance. Anybody want to speak up? Well, Leah, I will turn it back over to you.
I'm still in an altered state over here.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking about, I wonder what my dreams are going to be like tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That was profound. And I, like Zion, felt a real sense of peace going back. But I feel like I'm still, you know, working with that energy.
Yeah.
But that was beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here and sharing your gifts with all of us. Yes.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for all of you who came tonight. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I have, I want to read a little poem that Peggy sent me that she wrote to close the teaching circle, and then we'll end for tonight. So I want to read this. It's called Mother Waters. Thank you, Water Mother, for the blessings you send to all beings. We human beings who have forgotten who we are call to you for guidance from your blessing way. Weave back oneness for the waters of the world. Teach me that which has been forgotten. Smooth the thorns of our road for those who walk after us. Shape-shift the earth through the portal of her womb. Pass me through the womb into the light. Heal us so we may remember to be the light that we are. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's perfect. Perfect coming out from where we just were.
Yeah.
And that was written by Peggy Reeder Moore. Yeah. So to each of y'all that gathered around the sacred fire with us tonight, yeah, welcome and so much gratitude for gathering with us. I hope that now that I have the people that are new, I have your emails. You'll receive an email as we gather. If at any time you want to be taken off the email, just let me know. Because each week I do emails to announce who's going to be teaching that week in the link to register. And we have I posted actually on Facebook a list of the speakers that we have coming up through the middle of September. So we have more wisdom keepers coming on here to really share their wisdom and guide us through these times. And it's seems like this fall we're going to have some, seems like we might just be getting started. So,
Yeah, I just posted my website and my email address in the chat if anybody wants it. And if you go to the, you can either email me, or if you go to the website, there's a mailing list that you can sign up on. I send out a monthly newsletter, and then I send out announcements when I have a class or something that I'm doing that's coming up. So if you'd like to get on that mailing list, that's the way to do that.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peggy.